Yo, what's going on guys? How you doing? Arekkz here and welcome to Halo Wars 2. Now this week, on Tuesday in fact, I was invited to an event by the guys over at Xbox that gave me a chance to go hands-on with the final build of the game. While I was there, I tested out a brand new campaign mission, some of the multiplayer modes, so conventional 3v3, 3v3 Domination, Blitz, Blitz Firefight, and I genuinely had a really awesome time. I have been, for a long time, a massive fan of RTS or real-time strategy games. I've played things like Age of Empires, Mythologies, Command & Conquer, Red Alerts, Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth, StarCraft, stuff like that. I also played Halo Wars 1 as well, and truth be told, at the time, Halo Wars 1 didn't completely click with me. It had some great elements to it, but it was also a little bit different to some of the more conventional RTSs I played. However, that being said, when Halo Wars 2 was announced, it is a game that I've been super looking forward to, and there are genuinely some really awesome new additions to the game, things I think you guys are going to really enjoy. So in today's video, as well as bringing you guys some gameplay, this stuff you're seeing in the background is gameplay that I recorded, both myself and 269, we recorded while we were at the event this week. But at the same time, I also want to give you guys my impressions and kind of just talk about what the game has to offer, some of the stuff that I enjoyed the most, things like that. So if you do enjoy it, a like would be super appreciated. Comment down below, let me know if you guys are Halo Wars fans, and of course if you're looking forward to Halo Wars 2. So first things first, getting the date out of the way. For those of you guys looking forward to this, it comes out on February the 21st. It's also part of the Play Anywhere program, so if you do buy it digitally, then you can play it on PC and Xbox One. Speaking of which, all the gameplay you guys are going to see is from the PC version of the game. When it comes to RTSs, I personally prefer mouse and keyboard. However, the game does still run really well with control pad. It's got kind of like a dial system for when you have your build menus and stuff. So it's still really easy to control your units, build stuff, and get into combat and whatnot when you're playing with controller. But when it comes to personal preference, for this type of game specifically, I'm definitely mouse and keyboard. Now, if we start off with campaign, I'm just going to run you guys through some of the stuff that I got a chance to do while I was there. We got to try out a brand new campaign mission, and while for me personally, campaign and things like RTSs isn't really why I play them, it is still a really awesome addition to the game, and if you guys are new to these type of games, then it'll also do a great job at showing you the ropes, kind of talking you through different kind of combat situations, different like abilities, different building structures, all the kind of stuff you need to be able to successfully play the RTS, and of course it gets gradually more difficult to the point where when you get to the end, you'll of course be taking part in these big fully fledged battles, so you'll actually be well versed in RTSs so that when you go online, you're not going to get your butt kicked. Maybe not quite so badly, at least, anyway. And of course, RTSs aside, if you guys are just general Halo fans, then campaign will give you some cool story. There are some really awesome cinematics, the kind of cinematics that you come to expect from Halo games in general. So definitely worth playing, as mentioned, especially if you guys are new, because it will definitely show you the ropes. So the mission I played quite early in the game, there isn't a great deal going on. I've basically got to sort of capture these different points so I can activate a teleporter, and that is effectively the kind of culmination of the mission. But of course, all these different sections are defended by different units, so you still need to kind of take advantage of the units you've got, call your base in, build structures, train more units and stuff, and then distribute your units across the map. Anyway, campaign aside, let's talk about what I really play RTSs for, and that is multiplayer. So we started off playing a conventional 3v3 multiplayer. So in this one, quite simple, you just have to take out the other side. So it was myself, 269, and someone else playing against my good old buddy Benny Central, one of the developers, which is a little bit unfair, but one of the developers and also someone else as well. So we started off in this, and of course, Halo Wars has some incredible units. If you guys are Halo fans, then you have things that you remember. Units, enemies, heroes, vehicles, stuff like that you can build. The one main difference between Halo Wars and, say, conventional RTSs is that you have limited base building capability, and this is partly what didn't necessarily click with me in number 1. It hasn't changed too much in number 2, but when you factor in some of the other stuff I'm going to talk about a little bit later, it doesn't worry me quite so much. Effectively, you have like a starting base and you have nodes around that base, and you can then build things in those sections, whether that be, say, a garage or like an airfield to build, different units, whether that be like a power plant or things to kind of generate different resources. And of course, if you need to, you can destroy those buildings, recycle them, put something else in those slots. You can also capture different bases around the map, so if you do want to be able to expand a little bit, but it's not, say, the same kind of building structure as, say, a conventional RTS where you just build a crap ton of bases all over the map and just suddenly have this megaton fortress. That being said, it's kind of good in that respect, because if you are new to these type of games, then you don't have to worry quite so much, because in these types of games there is a lot of kind of management going on, a lot of like micromanagement, units, resources, bases, so it definitely kind of streamlines that process. There are of course some really cool new abilities in this one, and when you start a game you choose a commander, and these commanders have basically like commander powers. You can then rank these up as you go or level them up as you go. You kind of earn points you can spend, and these can range from anything as simple as, say, dropping down like a turret or like a healing field to heal some units, all the way up to summoning one of the like super units, a sentinel unit. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's just this big thing you see right here. So really cool stuff, and in the conventional mode, as mentioned, you literally just take each other out, so you can play it however you want. I am always a rush player in these kind of things, so I started out by trying to do the typical minion rush, just trying to rush in with cheap units, take people out. It worked for a while, but you then had to kind of quickly adapt, spec up, and build up. Moving on from there, we then jumped over to Domination. Again, same kind of setup, same teams, only the difference is you can still win by wiping out the enemy, but the main objective here is, of course, to capture zones and you then earn points. This is a new one for me. This is one that we lost this one because I wasn't too focused on the objective. I was still kind of in the RTS mindset of just like, I'm going to take out their base. But there are basically 5 zones across the map, and you put units into them, you hold them, and as you're doing that, you accrue points. So while you can win this mode just by taking the enemy out, you also do need to keep your eyes on those, because as we found out the hard way, because I wasn't focusing on the objective, then we clearly lost the game. So that's still a cool mode. Definitely something different if you guys want to change your pace. However, what I really want to talk about is Blitz. Now, Blitz is a mode that when I first heard about it, I wasn't especially interested. But having now played it, it is now my favourite thing in the game. Blitz removes the base building component of Halo Wars 2, and it works around building a deck. Basically, you open packs, you get these cards, you construct a deck of 12 cards, and these are cards you can then use in a Blitz match. Most of them are, say, different types of units, and you then use these to summon your units. Some of them are powers, so things like a vortex that you can use to kind of suck people in, a blast hammer that you can use to like push units away, other things like that. And once you've constructed a deck tied to a particular leader, you then load into the game in these kind of smaller, tighter maps. You have 3 different zones, A, B, and C. So again, kind of like Domination, you have to hold these zones to earn points. But when it comes to actual unit kind of distribution, you start off with a small team, you move around the map, and you use these cards to summon your units or use your abilities. Each of these cards has an associated cost, and you basically earn the energy needed to use these cards as you play through, whether that be in combat or just generally speaking over time. You have like a tick rate. However, on the map, there'll also be these energy crates that spawn, so you can destroy them to get more, and it also increases your tick rate. So if you basically destroy X number of crates, then you will generate energy at a faster rate than someone else. This is, of course, very important because when it comes to late game and you start wiping out people's units, then you really want to be able to spam out those cards. Now, what I really like about Blitz is that for someone that plays RTSs, I have always been an early game player. What I mean by that is I specialize in rush tactics. If I'm going to win a game in an RTS, I will typically win in the first 10 minutes, and if it goes to late game, then that's when it starts to fall apart for me. So Blitz is effectively rush tactic RTS because it's all about very, very fast-paced gameplay, quicker matches as well. They won't take quite as long. You know, some like conventional RTS matches can take you hours, whereas this will take you, you know, probably 10, 15 minutes maybe at max. So it's much quicker, but you then have to adapt in a very different way because it's all about choosing which cards you want to lay down. When it comes to building your deck, you need to have the right balance between, say, cheap units that you can kind of just spam out and more expensive units that are, of course, more powerful. If you just built a very powerful deck full of like high power units, then you're not going to be able to use your cards very frequently. But similarly, if you have nothing but cheap units, then when they come up against sort of some of the stronger options, then you're also going to struggle a little bit there. So there's, of course, the whole sort of meta game of, you know, collecting your cards, building your decks. But then when you're actually in the game itself, it's very fast paced, super awesome. We had an incredibly tight game again against the same teams, where we started by completely storming it and beginning to win by an absolute landslide, but then it switched over to the point where we got a little bit complacent. We forgot to kind of pay attention to the objective, and then suddenly the opposing team just sort of came in with a lot of cards, a lot of units, and just managed to sort of really bring it back and actually won the game. So it's super awesome, really, really good fun. I actually think that when the game comes out, this is probably going to be the thing I play the most, because you can kind of jump into these quick games, have a lot of fun, and because of the way the decks work, you can have loads of different decks lined up, so every time you jump in a game, you can just play the game very differently. Now, when it comes to cards, you can also earn these from booster packs. You can earn up to 7 packs a day, I believe. You get some of them from the campaign, you get some of them from daily challenges. Of course, there is a microtransaction component, you can buy them, but you don't need to. I was speaking to one of the QA guys, and he basically said, if you do all the challenges each day, then you should be able to get about 7 packs a day. So if you do that, you know, daily, then you're not going to be short on cards in any way, shape, or form. Plus, you start the game and you have 5 packs anyway. At least that's what I had, so I'm assuming that's the case. So you'll definitely have no shortage of cards to play with. And when you start getting some of the rarer ones, you kind of bring back those sort of Pokemon trading card collection memories. So that's really cool. There is also a firefight version of Blitz. If you don't want to play against people, you can play against waves, and you start off on normal waves, so it's pretty easy. Then it gets like medium, hard, heroic, insane. I think it goes to like nightmare or something, so it does get very, very difficult. We got to about wave 20, and then the amount of units that come out is pretty crazy, so you do need to kind of have the appropriate strategy there. One big tip is don't actually stand by the kind of spawn point, because you're definitely going to get rushed there. But that is a twist on the Blitz mode for those of you guys that don't necessarily want to go against other people. So there are loads of options there, but it's definitely a mode worth paying attention to. And on that topic, there is actually a Blitz beta starting on January the 20th, so if you guys want to check out this mode, you can test it out for yourself, see what I've been talking about, and of course, get a little bit more time with the game before it comes out in February. But that is pretty much it. That was my kind of experience with Halo Wars 2. I had a really, really good time. Genuinely going to be picking this game up. It's going to fill the kind of RTS void that I've had for quite some time. So definitely looking forward to that. Also, on a separate note, if you guys want to see what the event was like, I've actually got a vlog going up tomorrow. It's going up tomorrow because there's something else that I did at the event that I can't talk about just yet, but it was really, really cool, so that'll be factored into the vlog. So a link to my second channel is in the description box down below. The vlog will be up tomorrow, similar sort of time, so check back then. I'll also update the description in this video tomorrow once the video goes live. But for the time being, that's it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time. Peace out.